New Year's Eve, 1979. The day was coming to an end. The cold winter lights were fading away in a peaceful and clear twilight. A woman was about to give birth. She was panting heavily through her pale lips. She was lying on creased bedsheets. She was dishevelled and overcome with fatigue. Another woman was waiting in fear. She was also expecting. Her screams echoed like moths flying manically around, trapped within the rough walls of that big room with high, dark ceilings. The only sunlight shining into that poky room was peeping through the iron bars on a big glass window. From there, the skyline in the distance was stretching out as far as the fields in the dark, slashing the blue light with its sharp blade. For one moment, the two women were doing the exact same thing. 4 eyes were looking in the same direction. 4 eyes were open wide in amazement at the scene that lasted just for a few seconds, slightly distorted by the rough centuries-old glass. At sunset, 2 bright spheres were facing each other. One was at the end of its journey, while the other was just beginning it. At that sight, random thoughts came into the mind of the young woman lying on the bed. She could see great grief, questions as old as the universe, scars caused by hurt and melancholy, morbid desire for that encounter to happen again. In the darkness, a man with thin lips was smiling. His first flower was about to blossom. In a second, the sun disappeared from the sight of the 2 women. At that very moment, they were given a sample of the poison that could have driven mankind to complete madness with no return. Without any warning, the contractions came on again, just like the currents suddenly burst the banks of a river, stopping its regular peaceful flow. She felt that she could hardly breathe with the pain, and she was in great distress. S.R.L.S roared with the last pain, and she was finally relieved from all that suffering. The cry of the baby filled the air, who had just survived the great test of childbirth. He was squirming around, still feeling terrified for having been pushed out of that safe and warm place that had sheltered and fed him up to that moment. S.R.L.S relaxed all the muscles in her body. Exhausted, she was looking at her baby. His umbilical cord had not been cut yet, and he was so tiny. She knew he was a boy since the very moment she felt him in her womb. In a faint voice, she called him by the name that she'd fought for him over those long months of her pregnancy. Guglielmo. This will be your name, my darling. She had carefully picked it among 1,000 names, because she wanted a name that could protect him. Strange idea. And eventually she had chosen one that was not so common. Probably a little old-fashioned. It means strong-willed man who faces the great challenges of life with determination. She had experienced loneliness, alienation, grief, violence. And she wished her son, conceived in violence, could have a different life. Deep in those thoughts, S.R.L.S felt a mild pain in her chest, but did not take any notice of it. She thought the happiness she was feeling was pressing hard against her breastbone. It was hard to hold it all. Her little baby and herself managed to survive childbirth, despite all the nightmares that had haunted her. Lately in her dreams, she would see somebody dying and the onset of a period full of darkness and suffering. At the top of that short-lived happiness, her heart stopped beating shortly after. S.R.L.S died, bearing in her mind the image of her son Guglielmo. She'd passed away without realizing it, without feeling any concern for the end that was about to come her way and for her little baby. What happened during that strange night could be considered absurd by anyone. However, later on, it would be like a premonition recounted by old storytellers on stormy nights.